Thank you.
Well, here we are at Hudson's Whyte Avenue as it is a pivotal battle in the Big E. Calvin Pickard will tend the twine for the orange and blue. Is he up to the test? We get you set for Game 4 between the Oilers and the Canucks right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. If you're on your drive home from work, thanks for tuning in. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, and Zach to come with you for this edition of the GCL Diesel pregame show, brought to you by Edmonton's diesel fuel system specialists and providers of critical engine components for over 50 years. Gage, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for stepping in, filling in for Cass. You got a call late. You had to go down to Calgary. Always appreciate it. You did great today wearing your own Portland Winterhawks jersey. I thought that was a nice touch. Trying to get your boys going. The factory, as you like to call it. I love that. And also, I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, that's funny that you call Portland the factory. It is a great developmental junior program, but you came from Notre Dame, then you go to Portland, then you go, AHL, NHL. Like, you came from two really solid, reputable junior programs, if you think about it.
I was with Kamloops, too, before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I've told the tale. It's way too long. But, my rights got traded from Kamloops to Portland, and then they went on to Memorial Cup glory.
Right. They did. We don't hear about that ever from anyone that we know that might have been on some of those teams.
Yeah, and don't worry, I can always cover for Cass, buddy. It's I'm like Calvin Pickard today.
Ooh,
right? I'm
like
coming in. They're big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best.
Calm, cool, and collected, that Calvin Pickard. I'll tell you that much in the locker room earlier today. You will hear from Calvin Pickard later on in the show. Of course, we want to hear from you. Text us 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat on YouTube. I have one thing that I want to show everybody that Schmitty at Strathcona Spirits and then Connor here at Hudson's Whyte Ave have posted up here.
I can see it.
The Birdie Booze is available. I hope you can see that. I gotta double check here that it shows up nice. So they got Strathcona Spirits did the Birdie Booze logo and the 19th hole there, and they got the boys on there. That is hilarious. There's a few of them posted around here.
That is perfect.
Birdie Booze Gager available here at Hudson's Whyte Ave, $6 a shot.
It looks good, right?
It is good.
It's sandwiched by a couple of tequilas.
There it is. Yeah,
and
right there.
Patron. Yeah, that's
very nice. Very nice. It won't kill you like those other two tequilas there, man.
Actually, that 1800.
Is that Don Julio?
Yeah, no, I don't know which one it is, but I think it's coconut. That's pretty easy drinking too.
That one is actually pretty good. All right, I think that there's going to be some drinking going on tonight. Maybe some nervous drinking, maybe some excited drinking, maybe something in between. But Gager, just like Whyte Ave, they got the patios here. They're open. They got the nice big windows and bay doors open here, and people I just see honking. And they're all wearing. Well, there's just a guy in a limo waving at us. He's like, "Is that Joaquin Gage? Is he from the factory, aka the Winterhawks?" So people are excited, but maybe some nervous energy. What's your read on everything you've heard from the team and your sense of things through your hockey wisdom and experiences?
Well, just to get my heart rate going before tonight's tilt. My daughter passed her learner's license yesterday.
Is that exciting or is that nerve-wracking?
It's exciting, and then it's nerve-wracking, and then it's like more money I got to spend on this thing. It's crazy.
Exactly.
But drove all the way from Terwilliger to 50th and Sherwood Park Freeway for dance. So, big trip today. So that was she actually did it quite well. She wants to get in there, and she kind of put it off too long. I got my heart rate going, so I'm these tasty suds are feeling good. So I can completely understand how Oilers fans are feeling tonight. There is some anxiety in the air. Let's just say.
That is a good correlation. I like how you tied that up in a neat little package with the bow on top. Nicely done. Irf Gaffar will be stopping by in about 6 minutes to give us the scoop from the Vancouver Canucks side of things. Lineup-wise, I'm just going to say this for the Oilers, TBD. TBD, because outside of we know that Pickard's going to play, there was talk of 11-7 today from Chris Knobloch. He's not a guy that likes the 11-7 thing. I know Jay Woodcroft did use it. they used it well. They had success with it in years past, but even Woodcroft said he didn't really like going with it. And you've got guys who are a little bit banged up. You've got guys that might be a little bit sick right now. So what do you think of TBD? And we'll see what the lineup is come warm up, basically.
I think the reason for the 11-7 just to get things going is the fact that there are some bumps and bruises to deal with, and the availability of certain players, I think, especially on the back end, are questionable. Vinny Desharnais didn't look like the normal Vinny Desharnais. I think there's something bothering him, so that's why I think we will see Broberg in there. Hopefully. I mean, he's got some playoff experience, right? So
he does.
And he's, by all accounts, has acquitted himself quite well in Bakersfield when the time he sent down. I didn't like the whole situation with him, the team getting out of their funk, and what are you going to do with me? It seemed a little, I know you have to look out for number one, but being a good team guy, I didn't like it, but hopefully, if he does get some time, he can provide a solid first pass and play solid defensively and hopefully eat up some minutes so we don't see guys getting, having to put too much on their backs.
By all accounts, that was an agent move.
Yeah, you hope so. He's a young guy too. If it is an agent move, I would sit down with my agent and go, look, like I'm not Connor McDavid here, right? I'm in no position to start making demands for certain things. Let's just toe the road for now. I haven't proven anything. Didn't really have a good start here. You have to look at yourself in the mirror at times. Yeah. And then, now that he's had that good kind of few months in Bakersfield, and look, the ball's in his court, what he can do now. If he actually proves that he can play it at this level when a lot's on the line, that's just going to boost his value to me.
It's a hard ask, but defensemen have done it in the playoffs as youngsters in years past. And Gager, what are we at? Like 5 years since his draft now? Like it's been a while.
It's time. I think the over-ripening is done. You talk about guys that came in. I remember when Cale Makar came out of college, and I remember watching that first series he was a part of, and I go, how did this kid play college all year? It was amazing. It was seamless how he transitioned into the NHL. Take some guy. He's not Cale Makar, obviously. This is one of the best defensemen, probably when all's said and done, one of the best ever to do it. But it does take time. Look at all the other good Oilers defensemen right now that they've kind of homegrown. Nurse, Bouchard. From where they are now, from where they started, it's a light year, Tony.
Desharnais included. There was a discussion point later in the season where people were like, well, they don't draft well. And I was like, hang on a sec. I'm not saying that they draft perfect. I don't think they're in the upper echelon of teams that draft particularly well. But they've kind of, I know there's a bunch of first overall picks, a couple of them still on the team, but Desharnais was a 7th rounder. Broberg's kind of on the cusp. Holloway's starting to make a dent. McLeod made it as a 2nd, 3rd rounder. So they have had guys that they've drafted and developed. Anyway, it's time for Broberg. Maybe we see him tonight. We'll find out during warm-up. We will pass that information along your way. Maple Jet texting in says, is Vinny's only role tonight to go out and settle some scores? Gager, I'll let you handle that one.
No, you don't want that. The Vancouver Canucks power play it's really good and it's dangerous. You have to respect that a little bit at this time. This is something that, look, I said it on Two Guys. Take a number if you get a chance. Do it well, do it hard, do it clean. But this is maybe something. Maybe it leaks into next year. This is a November, December issue to be rectified, not game 4 in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the second round.
Well said. So we know Carson Soucy suspended 1 game, and then Nikita Zadorov with some choice words for his availability today. And I was in the room when he was doing that, and I'm like, this guy knows how to stir it up. Well done. And he said something. You're gonna hear from him later. Basically, he said the league has to protect its investment. Talking about McDavid. Some people said that his cross-check was more vicious than Soucy's. The intent being the reason why they said that.
Yeah, it was way more vicious. Coming up behind the player, can't see you. that far from the boards and delivering a hard cross check to the lower body. It's an intent to injure, right? That's where they've been targeting Leon. You can see it. And with the Soucy, I mean, he did mean to hit him, but that was seeing, Connor McDavid, let's get him into something where I can drag him in. Didn't mean to hit him in the chops, but no, I think, Tommy, to really, you have to be in control of your stick. I realize that, but I look at the Zadorov cross check way more vicious than what Soucy did. Because it wasn't the intent. The intent of Zadorov was to hurt Connor McDavid.
And what he did was knock him over right into the cross-check of Carson Soucy. And McDavid no worse for wear says it's part of the fun of the postseason, as I paraphrase.
Yeah.
All right, so really quickly, we do know our starting goalies for tonight. 32-year-old Calvin Pickard getting the nod for the Oil. An 0-0 record, has not allowed a goal in the postseason, and very minimal work, 1,000 save percentage in his only playoff appearance. His career numbers, not quite as good against the Vancouver Canucks as his postseason work. 0-2-1 record versus Vancouver, 264 goals against average, 917 save percentage in 3 appearances versus the Canucks in his career. At the other end of the rink, Arturs Shilovs, a 23-year-old, has a 4-2 record, 265 GAA, 908 save percentage, 1 shutout in 6 playoff games. And Shilovs versus the Oilers in the postseason, 2-1, 356 GAA, 883 save percentage in 3 games. Not great numbers, but enough to get him a couple of wins and numbers that are better than Stu Skinner's.
Yeah, and timely saves. Like we can look at the stats and, there's a lot of people that, well, he hasn't been played well, but the eye test proves that this guy's been counted upon in key moments of this series so far and made some huge saves. He's a big part of the reason why the Vancouver Canucks are leading this series. So, but saying that, not enough. Yeah. They got to make it way harder on Arturs tonight with traffic, second chance opportunities. Anytime, don't look off. If you're in that kind of the house or inside that home plate, take the safeties off, let it buck. Yeah. I'd almost like to see, like I had one coach tell me that whenever anyone got the puck, and I mean, we didn't have a lot of scorers on that team, so it made sense, or a lot of playmakers either, but as soon as the puck got into that kind of vicinity, it was an automatic shot. You weren't passing it unless it was a tap in, but what that does is it makes everyone else say, okay, shot's coming, I'm going to the net and looking for garbage at that point, right? Yeah. So they're a little bit more proactive than reactive of what happens after the shot. And I think if you get the puck to the net with guys going there already, your chances of getting those secondary opportunities or even third time trying to get those shots, it's probably going to end up in the back of the net.
Greasy goals are goals too, Gager. Yeah. I like it. All right, Irf Gaffar standing by, Canucks reporter. And he's been our Canucks insider for the entirety of this series. Has been great to get his information and intel on this series. As we lead into him, I will remind folks that portions of this hour brought to you by 100.3 The Bear, Edmonton's best rock. Catch Dusty Nielsen on with Uke and Scott McCord every weekday morning. And then tune into Jess Jackson on your way home from work every afternoon. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, Irf Gaffar, ready to rock. Irf, how's Vancouver doing? I mean, they must be elated in your city and Gager is from the mean streets of Kitsilano. I'll note that. Original and OG. How are people taking to this 2-1 series lead that the Canucks find themselves with?
I mean, they're excited. You look at the viewing parties at Rogers Arena, restaurants and bars and everything, just like in Edmonton. Everything's packed. Everyone's excited. I think a 2-1 series lead for the Vancouver Canucks. Getting one on the road in Edmonton is hugely important. I think that, there's definitely a belief now from the fan base when you've kind of looked at the storylines before this series started and all of that. You're up 2-1 in the series against, a team with 2 of the best players in the world. Now they're playing Calvin Pickard in net. If you're the Vancouver Canucks, you probably feel pretty good about yourselves.
Gager, you got anything for her?
Yeah, no, they've. I think even with the win, the Vancouver Canucks have been the better team so far. They've played that grinding playoff style that's shown onto the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers have to match the intensity and the physicality of the Vancouver Canucks, or man, this. I don't know if this gets to a game 6 or, this is the eye test on this series is the willingness to do the things that are necessary to win favor the Vancouver Canucks right now than the Edmonton Oilers. We've seen it in the past, so they can change it. But how do the Vancouver Canucks keep this momentum going? Like they've now we hear you might see Draisaitl and McDavid on separate lines. How do you see that talk at implementing his team to kind of head a better, lack of a better term, just face that two-headed monster?
Right.
Yeah, no, totally. I think when you look at it from a Vancouver Canucks perspective, you're going to see a lot of Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes has been quiet on the score sheet per se. He's collecting secondary assists and doing all that. And he's not, for lack of a better word, he's not scoring goals. But for the Vancouver Canucks, I think the attention to detail on team defense has been huge for this team all playoffs long, to be completely honest. So, yeah, I mean, the matchup probably is Quinn Hughes against Connor McDavid. I assume it's going to be JT Miller against Connor McDavid as well. And then Elias Lindholm's line, probably going right up against Leon Draisaitl. I mean, he's a guy that I think when you look at it, you mentioned momentum. I mean, what that guy has done so far in this postseason has not only paid dividends for the Vancouver Canucks, but it has vastly increased his value heading into the offseason, as is Nikita Zadorov and as is Dakota Joshua, right? If you're a Vancouver Canucks fan and looking at it, just looking way ahead. But I mean, for Vancouver, you don't change too much, right? Yeah, they have a new goalie that's playing. You haven't shot the puck really at all throughout these entire playoffs, right? They're averaging, maybe just over 18 shots a game in the postseason. So you're probably going to want to test Calvin Pickard a little bit in net, but it's the special teams battle, right? It's don't get into silly penalty trouble because Edmonton probably is going to score. It's an automatic one there. And if you're the Vancouver Canucks and you get on that power play, you hope you can snap it around and get it to work. And I've mentioned this guy's name since the beginning of the playoffs. You hope there may be some sign of life from Elias Pettersson, but we've been talking about it so much that it's almost would be more impressive if it happens than it doesn't.
Irf, the Canucks power play in the last 2 games, it's clicked 3 times. We look at the Oilers penalty kill and go, what's happening there? But I mean, kudos to the Canucks and its power play for getting it going a bit here. What are you noticing in these past 2 games that's allowing Vancouver or helping Vancouver generate offense with the man advantage? Whereas Edmonton had a perfect PK going into the series, was good in game 1, but then the last 2 have let it slip a little bit.
Well, I think the biggest thing you look at it is personnel change, right? Elias Lindholm comes on that top power play unit. So it is for real now a 5-on-4. When Connor Garland was on that unit, everyone was giving him that shot because you knew that Connor Garland wasn't going to take the fake slap shot that he wound up for. It just wasn't going to happen. It's getting guys in position. It's players moving around. Like when Quinn Hughes gets that puck on the blue line, he can beat almost anybody one-on-one. So you almost have to be aware of that if you're a defenseman. If he's going to beat your one guy, you got to move down to the boards. Otherwise, he's going to find someone in front. And because you're up one player, there's someone that's always going to be open. Brock Besser's done an incredible job this season of kind of redefining who he is as a player. 16 goals on the power play, a lot of them from the areas that players don't want to go to, in front of the net. Puck going in off his shin, puck going in. He's taking the pucks off different parts of his body. He's getting battles. He's getting hit. Elias Pettersson getting in on the action, obviously scoring a power play goal. JT Miller shoots almost everything. Doesn't hit the net a lot, but when he does, there are some rebounds there as well. So it's the difference in the unit. It's getting guys into open spaces, and it's just shooting the puck, right? We say this all the time when we talk about hockey, and I know it's cliche as hell, but you put pucks on net, good things tend to happen. So that's what both of these power plays do.
So now Soucy comes out of the lineup.
Yeah,
big physical presence. What do you see the implementation of the Canucks defense? How are they going to fill that void without that big body and that big presence?
Well, I think for one, you hope Ian Cole has a better game. I mean, he can only go up from where he's been, right? And I think the experience factor, he's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. He's played a lot. He's played in big moments, but we can only talk about that so much if you keep having the games that he's been having, right? Some of it's luck, but some of it's your own doing. They're going to get Noah Juleson back into the lineup. He's a natural right shot defenseman. I assume he's going to play with Quinn Hughes. That'll be interesting is who the pairings are in warm-up. Are they going to go with Myers and Zadorov? right? And is it going to be Ian Cole and I can't remember the other defenseman off the top of my head right now. Oh, anyways, it'll come to me. But
Soucy, Cole, Myers, Zadorov, Hughes.
Oh, Philip Roenick. Philip
Roenick. Yeah, there we go. I got you.
So Philip Roenick, Hughes. But I wonder if they move Roenick to his own pairing and put Juleson with Hughes just for continuity. And Juleson's played there, and it's obviously he's had some of the experience in that position. But it's going to be physical, right? It's going to be a tough night. So you lose Soucy, like you mentioned, big, physical, rangy defenseman. And now you're separating Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So it's only going to make things harder for that Canucks defense.
Irf Gaffar with us now, Canucks reporter, as we get you set for game number 4 between the Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks winning their first ever playoff game in Edmonton the other night. This is only the third time these two teams have met in the postseason, which is ridiculous if you think about it. But we've got ourselves a bit of a series here. All right, Irf, when you look at the battle of the fan bases, I just want to get your thoughts on that, because I've had on the post-game show, it's been fun. And then even like two guys and a goalie with Gager and the hangout, we've had like an influx of Vancouver viewers on our YouTube chat, which is the Nasty Chat, and it has only gotten nastier with all these Vancouver Canucks fans. What's going on here? It's funny. Hang on. Zacticum, who's back at our ESTHQ producing this show tonight, is saying that the Nasty Chat right now is swarming, in all caps, with Canucks fans trolling.
It must be the Kitsilano bump.
It must be. You got two Vancouver guys on your show in Edmonton. They must really love you out there, Tommy.
But one of them's an Oilers legend.
Well, you look good. I'll tell you that. You got that blue with the power red tie. I like it. You brought it for game 4. I mean, look, it's good. Like I said it a few times. It's a game day because you can tell, because social media is vicious today. Some of it's great. A lot of it's providing a lot of entertainment. Some of it's bad, and some of it's just plain old stupid, to be completely honest. So it's warranted. Both fan bases, one, a lot of expectation. One, never won really anything, right? So there's a lot of angst among both fan bases, and I think that these are two fan bases that really love their teams, right? And they're going at it. And when you have McDavid and you have Draisaitl and you have a guy that's as popular as Nikita Zadorov has been, and going out there and saying what he said, I heard you mention, talking about protecting the investment and things like that, and all of it comes to an absolute head when these two teams battle. So yeah, the social media has been fun. It's only going to continue. I'd like 7 games of it because I think it's great for all of us here. I'd love to keep doing these shows with you, but I agree with Gager. I mean, if the Oilers don't pick it up here, it's not a must-win for the Vancouver Canucks, I would say, but it's a can't lose, because if the Oilers win this game, you're up 2-2, you got saves from your goalie, and you feel pretty good about yourself going into 2 or 3 against Vancouver, probably.
Yeah, definitely. I got to agree with you. The Canucks have done a good job. They're in a really good position. You don't want to give the Edmonton Oilers life, though, and I don't think it's a must-win either. If there's any team that can string together 3 wins, it is the Edmonton Oilers. But this is it would just ease the fans' psyche a little bit with a victory tonight. I'm like you. I want to see 7 games of this. I think it's great for both fan bases to have. Not that the Battle of Alberta isn't always good, but it's kind of lost a little bit of its luster. This could be a whole new kind of battle in the Western Conference. I think both these teams are going to be competitive for a long time over the next few years. Probably not the last time we're going to see these teams meet up in the playoffs. So, yeah, let's see 7 more games of this.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I 100% agree. That's because the other team in Alberta stinks and is going to stink for a long time. But we'll definitely going to see some good battles. And look, I've said it before. People talked about Vancouver and Seattle becoming a rivalry. Rivalries aren't born until 2 teams meet in the playoffs. And these 2 teams, you mentioned, Tom, it's only the 3rd time they've ever met in the postseason, and it's proving to be pretty good.
I want to say about Seeloffs, the emergence of him. The talk in Edmonton, we're looking at numbers, not the best numbers, but timely saves. He's passing the eye test in my mind. how is his demeanor? It seems like this is a kind of coming out of nowhere. He seems calm, cool, and collected. I was a protege of Ian Clark way back when he was initially starting. I basically put Ian Clark on the map. Let's just face
That's
it.
our boy.
But how is he handling this whole being thrust into the Stanley Cup playoffs here and performing the way he is?
Well, I'll start with this. He's got more playoff wins than Thatcher Demko as a Vancouver Canuck right now. So there's one there. I mean, I know, I get it. Canuck fans are going to be all over me, but he's being referred to as King Shilovs, and I'll go back to the confidence that he had from playing for Latvia at the World Championships, right? He got his country its first ever gold medal. Guys, he's 23 years old. Like, he's a kid. He's a baby. So to be completely honest, he's only getting better as the games go on. He's facing a lot of shots. I wonder if it's going to get to a point where there's games every other night and he's not used to getting maybe a couple days off in between games, if fatigue's going to play a factor. We haven't really had to go to a lengthy overtime or anything like that in this series, or really in these playoffs for him. But the team in front of him is doing a good job. I mean, if he sees it, he's generally going to stop it. That's the same with basically any goaltender. And I think, you would know, being a protege of Ian Clark and working with him, it's so much of the mindset of the game. You're a National Hockey League goaltender. You're already there based on your skill. Like, you're there for a reason. We know you can play goalie. It's about how you approach the game. It's about how you think the game. It's about how you watch film. What's your reading on certain shooters and their tendencies. And I think that for as young as Artur Shilovs is, he's still such a student of the game that it's only going to grow, and he's continuing to grow in this series.
Irf Gaffar joining us now, Canucks reporter. It is Tom Gazzola and Joaquin Gage live on location, Hudsons, Whyte Avenue. We've got some AM nasties coming in. Good to see Cal in the park and his lovely wife in tow. And then the patios are open, and they're going to be, I'm sure, rocking, as it is a lovely night in Edmonton. Also, Zach to come holding things down back at ESTHQ. You can text us 780-218-9999. I would encourage you to text into the nasty chat, but apparently it's full of Vancouver fans just trolling. So stay classy, Vancouver. Stay classy. I'm just kidding. Both fan bases do it to each other. It's unbelievable and fun and terrible all at the same time. All right, as we head into this game number 4, Irf, what kind of game do you anticipate? Are we talking about another one-goal tight affair where both teams and both fan bases have a lot of nervous energy, or does one of these teams blow one wide open and dominate? What do you think?
Well, the Canucks have won 7 consecutive one-goal games, so they're comfortable playing in that type of game. And for them, I think it's, the Oilers are going to play with desperation, right? They don't want to go down 3-1. You're going to see a lot of Connor McDavid again. You're going to see a lot of Leon Draisaitl again. For the Vancouver Canucks, you're missing an important piece of your defense, as we alluded to in Carson Soucy. So it's stick to what has gotten you here. It's your attention to detail. It's don't take stupid penalties, and it's you try and when you're on the offensive front, you can try and expose the Edmonton Oilers defense, right? Matthias Ekholm, is he a guy that took a couple big hits in Game 3? Is he a guy that might be feeling something? We mentioned that, Philip Broberg might be tossed into the lineup there. I know there's a bug going around the Canucks room right now as well. So there might be a lineup change other than Carson Soucy as well for the Vancouver Canucks. We're going to have to see what happens in warm-up there. But yeah, I expect the Canucks to try and weather that first 10-minute storm and then take your advantages after that. It's going to be a big game for Artur Shilovs. I expect the Oilers to try and crash and bang, get in the kitchen of him a little bit to try and ruffle his feathers or see if you can. But you're going to see a lot from the Edmonton Oilers. And for the Vancouver Canucks, I think it's kind of hang on. And the interesting one to me is you look at it like, are they really going to go 5-0 on the road so far this postseason? They've won 4. This is a tall order for the Canucks. But if there's any team that we've counted out and somehow they've come back in and proven something wrong, it's been the Canucks this year.
And the other thing, too, is Edmonton hasn't been particularly great on home ice in the postseason, 2-2. So, we'll see if the Canucks' dominance on the road away from Rogers Arena continues. Irf, I'll tell you what, man, you didn't have to bang home the garbage in this segment. You were making the pretty passes, and then we were tapping home the tic-tac-toes. That's how good it was. You, Gager, and myself, what a combination, man. I'll just add that. A couple of kids from Vancouver, and then the boy from the Big E over here. Although he is kind of like an adopted son in this city. I'll just let you know. He is wearing his alumni Oilers drop T-shirt or golf shirt.
Got to represent.
He's representing, and he does do the signing parties for Oilers home games, by the way.
Well, it's great. I love that. To be completely honest, with the amount of time that I've spent in your city the last 4 years, I think, Tommy, you could say that I might be an adopted stepson or something like that of the Edmonton fan base. But no, it's been great. I mean, look, I like this series. I love coming on with you. You know, we obviously talk and stuff like that. But yeah, let's hope it goes 7. I mean, I think it'd be great for both for both markets.
Yeah. Well, you are kind of an adopted son. You do know everybody in this city at this point. Irf, this was great, and we do know that we'll be catching up with you for Game 5 when its series shifts back to Vancouver. Great stuff, my friend.
All right, gentlemen, be well.
There's Irf Gaffar, Canucks reporter, giving us the scoop on those Vancouver Canucks and their fans in the nasty chat. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999.
Oh, we're seeing it here.
We are laughing. I'm looking over here right now. Okay, see, usually we have an idea of the regulars who get in, but we've had an influx of followers and subscribers on our channel, which is great. On the YouTube side of things, it's been phenomenal to see the growth of EST, both on the audio side and then obviously on the YouTube side. But I'm seeing some unfamiliar names that might be from the Lower Mainland, Gager.
Probably, most likely.
Yeah.
They look like Lower Mainland names.
Ah, yes. But some Oiler fans still in there. Matthew says, I can't wait for either of these teams to join me on the golf course. Okay. Sounds like a Toronto fan?
Probably.
Let's see. Buckwalter says 97 has to play that much. Got to get away from JT. Constant hooking and interfering. A lot of cross checks, too, from JT Miller. Good on him for doing it the way he has and being effective.
Yeah. Gamesmanship, though. Gamesmanship. Show the effect a little bit. Even if, you feel it, take a knee. I think Connor McDavid, feel a hard cross check. Take a knee. Don't dive, but just let the refs know that, some food for thought, maybe for a 2-minute penalty later on.
Somebody said, Ryan says, that brew looks good.
Oh, it's delicious.
What do you got there?
I have no idea. It's cloudy. It's golden.
It's delicious. Yes. All right. Let's take a look. Ontario Momes says, thanks for the support, Canucks fans, pumping the views for Edmonton media. Gord plus.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ontario Momes, for getting that out there. Let's go to Piss Jug texting in. It says, Tommy, PJ here, the refs for tonight game the other night. Rooney was there, and they were undefeated with him. The Canucks were. PJ, I know Piss Jug. He worked for the Blades, and I think he's back with the Blades now. Piss Jug, work on your texting abilities, okay?
Just proofread.
We love you, but just, proofread it. I appreciate that. Big Uke says, hello, gents. Big game tonight. Dem Oily boys are going to be firing. Make it a best of 3. Vibes are high, folks. LFG. And then would love to see them put Hollywood up in the top 6. Now, we have our speculation that we could see Dylan Holloway in the top 6. Is that the right play in your opinion, Gager?
I don't know, because I don't know what this 11-7 is going to look like. Yeah. Maybe maybe you see Connor McDavid moving down in that situation, playing the middle, right?
Knobloch mentioned that 11-7 would allow him to rotate and double shift Draisaitl and McDavid even more.
Yeah, so maybe that's where you see Holloway playing with McDavid at certain points. We'll see how it goes. But there is a possibility of that, I'm sure. I think after, basically 2 games of doing the same thing, I like the fact that things are really changing, showing a completely different look for the Canucks, because they look really comfortable to me. These last 2 games, even in the overtime and the extended zone time of the Edmonton Oilers, to me, they seem like they liked how the game was going.
It's working.
Yeah, you got to get them off kilter a little bit here. You got to they have to play a little bit unbalanced to put them into situations where there's more turnovers. Get that quick counter going with quick shots, right? Like quick strikes off of turnovers. When Edmonton's doing that, they just keep rolling and consistently through all their lines.
Gager, let's hear from Chris Knobloch now, and then we're going to get to Game Changers, where you can elaborate even more on some of that. Here is Chris Knobloch from earlier this morning.
Connor and Zach today. And I realize Leon didn't skate, but are we looking at Connor and Leon centering their own lines to start?
I think tonight it's going to start like that, and we can go back and forth throughout the game depending on how the flow is and how everything's playing out. But right now they'll center their own lines.
Broberg was off relatively quickly. Is he an option for you tonight?
Yes, whether we go with 7 defensemen, that's an option that he could play tonight.
Looks like Calvin Pickard will get the start tonight. Just give us a thought on what goes into that decision and what you expect from him.
Well, I'm expecting what I've seen from Calvin all season. Goaltender that's competed very hard, played very well for us, and piled up a lot of victories. And and there's been times, it's not a ideal situation. He hasn't been playing for a long time, but he's gone long stretches without playing. And, I think the team has a lot of confidence in Calvin when he has played, and he's going to be our guy.
Cam wanted to ask you about the position of goaltending and how, in a lot of ways, it's kind of a team position. Everybody can kind of contribute to that going well, and how that can be the case.
Absolutely. Sometimes I think it's unfair. Goalies sometimes get, too much credit and also too much blame when things aren't going well. And, as a team, we want to make the shots easy for him to see and be on the perimeter as much as possible. And there are going to be breakdowns, and that's where the goaltender has to make a big save when warranted. But, as a team, we can make a goaltender's job a lot easier by how we defend.
And just want to follow up on the idea of 11 and 7. It's not something that you've really done in your time here. What's your experience with it in the past, and maybe the pros and cons? And does it have a little bit to do with maybe guys up?
Yeah, that has something to do with it. I think it takes away a little bit of the flow and rhythm, especially with a defenseman. Just situations not always going out there regularly with your partner. But on the flip side of it, offensively, with the forwards, it is a lot easier to double shift at 97 or 29 and have them back out on the ice right away with another line. So, there's pros and cons to it.
Chris, since you came in, your team had second most 5-on-5 goals. You had the best goal for goals against differential 5-on-5. You've struggled from your forwards so far through 3 games to score 5-on-5s with only 2 goals from your forwards. What do you need to see more from them 5-on-5 specifically from your group?
Well, I think everyone would notice or say, certainly a coach would, about going to the net. Where are the goals? They're around the net. You need to get to the blue paint. But another part of it is, I think we need to be a little more shot selective. We need to be a little more patient when we have the puck. Getting passes to the slot are very dangerous, but, if that pass isn't there, we can't be throwing the puck away when we want to spend time in the offensive zone. So we have to be selective with our shots and the plays that we're making, and we just have to find a way to get to the net. Their defense do a good job. They're big, they're strong, they do a good job of getting in the way, interfering from our forwards getting to the net. We got to fight through that.
Sorry. Also, in addition to Draisaitl, Kane, Ekholm, and Henrique didn't skate. What's the status of those 3 players?
Adam will not play. The other 3 are just off maintenance.
It looks like potentially Holloway could get a little bit of a bump based on lines. Am I reading too much into that? And if so, what do you think of the way Dylan's played and potentially to have him in an elevated role tonight?
Dylan's played really well. The 2 goals in the previous series. There's been games where maybe his ice time hasn't been what it should have been. I think he's warranted more time. But the biggest thing for him is how well, the puck play's been really good, hasn't been turning pucks over, and also he's been difficult to play against with his speed and tenacity and physical. There's a lot of liked about his game, and we're talking about secondary scoring. Dylan has the capability of scoring, whether it's driving the net, getting a rebound, or scoring with a shot. And we saw it last series, 2 really nice quick releases. And hopefully he can give us something tonight.
All right, there's Chris Knobloch, head coach of the Oilers. Gage was talking about the possibility of 11-7 and what that could do and present some opportunity, if you will, rather than being a detriment. And then he also talked about Dylan Holloway and his play. Anything else you gleaned from what Knobloch was saying during his interview today?
Warranting more ice time. I think that's the phrase that stood out most for me in that brief conversation. That shows me a guy that wants to get more guys involved. I think he realizes this. You can't ride the big two horses this much and expect something magical to happen. This has to be a group effort, win by committee to beat the Vancouver Canucks. It's only going to get harder when you look down the road too, Tommy, right? So, that's. I think you're going to look at trying to, at least at the start of this game, trying to get everyone engaged and feel part of this thing instead of just leaning on that big two.
With the big two, it's interesting because I know a lot of people said, why do these coaches keep going to those guys over and over and over again? I think we can all appreciate and understand that the temptation to go to them when you're chasing the game is so great. And you're going to use them in games together regardless. And I started pointing it out, like Kane and Taves played together forever in key moments. And all those combinations in years past. And Crosby, Malkin, I'll use them. Backstrom and Ovechkin. Sure, it'd be great to have two centermen driving your lines, creating more depth. But for these refs or these coaches, I don't think while McDavid and Draisaitl are on the same team, we're ever not going to see them.
No, it's a great crutch to have.
Yeah.
And we complain about it all the time, but I guarantee if I was coach of the Edmonton Oilers, I would probably have them together for when things are going, okay,
I need a goal.
Boys, let's turbo boost this thing. You guys are together. And a lot of times it works, but like anything, I like the flow of Coach Knobloch, how he kept changing things. There were, like he allowed chemistry to build, but and gave it time when it went a little bit stagnant, but wasn't scared to mix things up too. But I think he allowed enough time to see if something was there. It's tough because it's 60 minutes. Yeah. It's such an important game. First goal is huge. This allows the Edmonton Oilers to start to impose their will. When you're chasing the game constantly, it wears on you. It drags on you. It's way easier to play with a lead. We're going to see a different Edmonton Oilers team. I think that first 10 minutes. This is the speech where, if you were in the Canucks dressing room tonight, it's weather the storm. We got to make sure that we're good, solid, manage the game. No hope plays. It's tape to tape or out, and a very simple hockey for the first 10 minutes of the first period.
Motorcycle guy passing by revving, obviously, on Whyte Avenue, like one does when you have a Harley or a chopper. And then the other thing, too, is I don't think we've really seen the Oilers impose their will. They had the big lead in game one, but you said it, and I think you said it best, was it didn't feel like they were up 4-1 in that game, Gage, or just by the way they were playing. They were not taking it to the Vancouver Canucks.
Very fortunate to be up 4-1. That was where we saw a goalie that, Archers didn't look great. They let in some suspect goals. But again, the Oilers were on their heels the most of the time. Yeah. Not really physical. Whereas the Canucks seem to, those are the types of games as a player, like we're down 4-1, but I feel like we're dominating. Like we're in a good position here. Sure. And you could see that snowball just gain steam and just continued into the next one for them.
All right. I want to remind everybody that we are giving away VIP tables to the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. Enter in to get into the draw during our daily shows Monday through Friday, and then as well on Hello Hockey. Just a quick reminder, because we'll have more of those tomorrow. And then the other thing we need to get to is Game Changers with Joaquin Gage, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home is community-driven and understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Numero uno, Joaquin Gage. Stay in the moment.
Yeah, so this time of year, this is where past experience, I think, is really beneficial. You're not looking too far ahead. You're simplifying it down to little increments, little segments within the game. That first, maybe 5, maybe it's 10 minutes of that first period. That's where your focus is. You're not looking past that moment. What am I going to do to be for my team to be successful within this 10 minutes? I'm not like no hope plays.
No,
like I talked to you about those tape to tape passes.
Yes.
Right. Like it has to go tape to tape from D to forwards within their own end. No, we saw what happened with Warren Fogle, kind of a little indirect pass in your own zone at that point in that time of the game. Can't happen. Stay in the moment and then progress from there.
Does the demeanor of the team lend into that stay in the moment kind of mantra? And what I mean by that is being around the group, it didn't feel like they were too nervous or tense. They've been down 2-1 in series in the last couple of years. They've won those series. Connor McDavid seemed pretty loose yesterday around the rink. Does that lend into stay in the moment, or am I a little bit off kilter with that?
Yeah, no. When you're a younger guy, say like a Holloway, and now really being a part of the playoffs here in the city, this is, it's hard. You can't go anywhere without seeing something Oilers. To see your leaders think, oh, you know what, we're fine at this point. It's a calming influence that I think is necessary. We've seen in years past, Oilers can get caught up in that type of situation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, no, this is it's that you saying that, Tommy, should give a lot of Edmonton Oilers fans confidence going into tonight. I mean, it's only one game. It feels like they're down 3-0 to a lot of Oilers fans, and it's easy to get caught up on it. But really, if I said it before, if any team can win 3 games in a row against, I would say, any team in the league, it's the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay. I had something for that, but I want to get to number 2. I might add my little interjection there after this one. Number 2 on Game Changers tonight, no passengers, pretty straightforward. Agreed. Go for it, Gager.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, we've been talking about how do you get other guys involved and how difficult it is with the amount of ice time that's allotted. But I'm gonna counter with this, Tommy. If you get 6 minutes, it has to be the best 6 minutes of the season at this point. If it's 10 minutes, it's the best 10 minutes you're getting from this. If it's 25, you are just everybody ropes, everybody rides, whatever, pulling on the same rope. All those cliches that you say. Everyone has to be involved in some capacity tonight for the Edmonton Oilers, and I think it's important. Because, going back to Vancouver after this game, had feeling good about your game throughout the whole lineup, it's going to be needed, I think.
Not being a passenger is tough, like you said, when you're not playing a ton of minutes.
Very tough.
That'll be the onus on the coaching staff to get guys into the rotation quicker. But then, like you said, they need to utilize them as best as possible. Have there been some guys that have surprised you not taking those minutes, utilize them, and being sharp when they finally do get out on the ice? And I don't think that any of these guys want to use that as an excuse, but Gager, it is a little legitimate thing. You're sitting on the bench and you're watching, and it's like, well, I hope I get to play at some point in this game. Like, that's got to be tough.
It's very tough. It's to keep yourself motivated. But look, it's a professional attitude that you have to have. You hope for that continuity between all the lines and having I hate to single out guys, but you're going to need more from the likes of Fogle. 20 goals this year, had a whale of a season. You need more from him. Maybe it doesn't always have to show up on the scoreboard, but little subtle plays. I look at Derek Ryan, right? Yeah. They scored on the power play. And it wasn't an effort thing, but it was an execution thing of getting that puck out, and it stayed in. Their execution level of those subtle little things tonight have to essentially winning battles against the Vancouver Canucks in those subtle moments, because that's where you go, oh, puck was kept in. 35 seconds later, it's in the back of your net.
That's a good example, because JT Miller was actually talking about that in the Canucks locker room today. He's like, yeah, the one power play goal, I didn't feel like we had a good momentum and a good flow to that power play, but we got a weird keep in, and then guys were shifted around and they kind of filled in for each other, and we made it work. And I was like, oh yeah, you just patch it together. Good on them for doing that. But then on the Oilers, if you're looking at it from their point of view, you're like, well,
50-50 puck, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And it got kept in.
Yeah.
That was a battle lost, and a very important goal, a momentum swinging goal, because the Canucks just went Brock went nuts after that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Totally fair. All right, it is Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite with Joaquin Gage tonight. Number 1 was Stay in the Moment. Number 2, No Passengers. Number 3, Gardien de But.
Gardien de Butts.
You went Gardien de Butts. I read it the French way.
I know.
Yeah.
Hold on to your butts, so to say. As a
classic.
A classic line.
Samuel L.
Another moment for a 32-year-old to come in and, he said all the right things. A chance to play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Actually, I don't know if you follow his wife on X or Twitter. She's hilarious. I just followed her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's all hyped up. It's great, and for everything, not just for her man. I think it's his wife. She's got the same last. It might be his sister. I don't know. This is a moment where. You've heard it more than I have, Tommy, but you've said that everyone seems to like this guy. He works hard in those 30 minutes after, when fourth liners love to work on their one-timers from the hash marks for some weird reason. And he's just a good guy.
You sound like a guy who's had experience with that.
Yeah, it's a tough position to be in. And you know what? This is the time where, this guy's put in the work for us.
Yep.
Let's put in the work for him. I could see a few more getting in shooting lanes. Like the blocks in this series are completely lopsided. The Edmonton Oilers have to do a much better job of getting in those shooting lanes. I know the shot totals are a little bit out of whack, but they have to make it a little bit tougher to get the pucks through to Calvin Pickard and give him some support. There's going to be some nerves. There might be some jittery moments off the hop. It's only natural, but make sure there's no second chance opportunities. Taking sticks in front, being on top of the opposition, making them go through layers before they get to Calvin Pickard. And he's provided great goaltending so far, like very reliable goaltending, and taken a few away. That's all they need. They need that stabilizing factor right now, that they don't think, if a guy shoots, it's going to go in the back of the net, and do everything they can for a teammate.
With him going in at a pivotal point in the season, in the series certainly, what do you think it does to the players, the skaters, the group in front of him? Does it heighten their alert level? Like you said, they like him, and it is true. He's a very likable guy, easy to chat with, no ego or anything that. Just a good dude. And he appreciates his time being up here. He knew it wasn't a guarantee and took advantage of the opportunity that was presented to him. But for the guys in front of him, Gager, how do you think they're taking this?
Little bit of a wake-up call. Good teammates, good players think, maybe it was sad to see Stuart Skinner kind of, for the first time, look a little bit more human.
Yeah.
and take the brunt of what is happening. It's only natural for a goalie to do that. But on the other side of that, there's been mistakes that have led to those types of goals. And so now you're like, we let down one of our guys. Now let's help. It's a galvanizing moment, I think. It's just like, even more so, pulling a goalie when things are going bad during a game, getting your stuff together, so to speak. Right. So, guys, our number one guy hasn't been going well. Our second guy's going in. We got to pull up our socks, make sure there's responsible game management tonight for Calvin Pickard, and they don't want to go back to Vancouver down 3-1.
No, that is absolutely true. Okay, excellent job with Game Changers. This is what I want to do, because we're talking about the goaltending. Obviously, it's a huge storyline going into this game, has been this entire series. We're going to hear from Calvin Pickard, and then we'll react to what we hear and see his body language and how he handles the scrum and the interview. And then there was something interesting that I saw today. I managed to get it on video and put it out on X. It was Sam Gagner speaking to Stuart Skinner. So first we're going to go to Calvin Pickard, then we'll discuss with Joaquin Gage right here on the Oil Stream pregame show.
Yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, all you can ask for is an opportunity in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I felt like I had a good season, and the preparation's done, and excited to get out there.
I know you didn't face a lot of shots in the third period of the last game, but did that do anything for you, just kind of getting a taste of being in a playoff game in preparation for tonight?
Yeah, getting on the sheet the other night was good. Obviously, like you said, there wasn't much going on. They kind of sat back and held the lead, but I didn't feel too worked up. Obviously, I haven't played in a while, and no playoff action in this league to this point in my career. So, but it was nice. It was nice to get on the sheet, and like I said, looking forward to tonight.
What clicked for you this year, do you think?
I'm at a point in my career where worrying about other stuff isn't going to do me any favors, and I got that opportunity in November, and I've been saying it all year, not putting too much pressure on myself, and tonight's no different. So. Definitely excited and definitely looking for a win.
What have you seen from this team on the bench in the first 3 games of the series? What do you think they're doing well? What do you think you guys can do?
Yeah, I feel like we've had the puck, much more than they have. Bounce here, bounce there. It could be a much different series, but the reality is we're down 2-1. So tonight's a good opportunity for us to change the story of the series. But no, I've liked a lot of our games so far. They're a really good team too. They've been packing it in, and they've been opportunistic. So a lot of good players over there. But if we play our game, we're going to be just fine.
Can you tell us when you found out you were going to get the start?
Yesterday.
Calvin, sorry to put you on the spot here, but anytime anyone talks about your journey in this season, they talk about how remarkable it was that you resurrected your NHL career. And I ask you, since October, what have you most learned about yourself throughout this career?
Yeah, just believing. Obviously, the last 5, 6, 7 years since I've been in the NHL, consistently 5, 6, 7 years ago, just believing in myself. I know I can play at this level, and this year I proved it to myself and everybody around me. And it's a really good opportunity for me tonight, and I feel like I'm ready.
What are some of the habits that you have developed over time over the course of your NHL career that fuels that?
Yeah, I've said it all year. Practice is huge for me. I'm surrounded by really good people. Shorty and Skins have been really good for me. A lot of little things in practice every single day, and I'll say it again, but not putting too much pressure on myself. I'm fighting for my life every game. Back in November when I'm getting my first start as an Oiler in Florida, it's a big game for me, and tonight's a big game for me as well. So they're all big, and definitely excited for the challenge.
You see, want to put pressure on your shoulder. How tough is it with all the noise around and everything that's happening right now?
Obviously, it's a high-stake game, but you're only going to get in trouble if you listen to that noise. So I know what I'm capable of. Our team knows what we're capable of, and we're going to go do the job.
Calvin, given you mentioned the last few years, and when you came up in November, nobody knew how long you were going to be here for. Was there a point in the year where you kind of felt like you belonged and where you were supposed to be again?
For sure. You develop that confidence over time, practicing well, earning some good starts there before Christmas, and the team welcomed me with open arms. Put me in a position to succeed, and it's obviously nice playing behind such a good team. So it's been a very exciting season, and we're still going.
It's tough because you start, someone else doesn't, and I'm sure Stu was pretty supportive of you as a teammate when you got here. So what role did he play in you being where you are, and how old is he?
He's been outstanding for me. He's I don't know how many years younger than me, but he carries himself like a veteran, and he's got a great head on his shoulders, and I owe a lot to him this year. I've learned a lot from him, even me being older than him. But he's been great. It's fun to watch him every single night, and he's a great goaltender.
All right, that's Calvin Pickard. High praise for his goalie partner and Stuart Skinner. And Gage, I was sitting right behind him in that scrum, and he brought up Skinner and said, I learned from Stu Skinner. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful for this opportunity. He said all the right things, and it's nice to see him earning this opportunity with yours. But for him to be saying, I've learned a lot from Stu Skinner, I'm just Wow. Okay. I don't know a lot of goaltending tandems. This is my 17th freaking season covering this damn team. And Calvin Pickard last year in the preseason went up to Stu Skinner after a preseason game and gave him a bro hug for doing a good job. And even Skinner and Jack Campbell had that like real camaraderie. Is that rare? Because, I mean, you had goaltending tandems that you were a part of where I'm sure it wasn't always that appreciative and thankful for one another.
Oh, well, no, because I never played, so it was a one-way love streak. But I was always on hugging terms with all my partners here.
That's
like
good.
Billy loved to hug. Cooge would hug. Tommy, I couldn't get the guy off me half the time. Like so, no. Look, it's not always roses. You're competing with the other guy, waiting for your chance. It's a high pressure, but I think today's goalie, there's more of a collaboration, Tommy.
Okay.
When I watch games now, when you see other goalies come to the bench, sometimes you see a little bit more interaction. And, so goalies know when to it's almost like a pitcher hitting a no-hitter too.
Gotcha.
It's a time when, you don't need to be talking about stuff right now. It's almost like if they approach you, then you can kind of get into a quick TV timeout conversation about things. Plus, with what Pickard can do with Skinner is provide a little bit more information of probably certain players that he's been able to watch or play with or talk about some tendencies that he's seen that Skinner can take. And then, a young guy that seems to have pretty much ice in his veins throughout the regular season. Of course, you're going to learn certain things, how they work. Maybe they go into technically they do something a little bit different, and you that's more efficient than how I did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the young guy who seems like he most of the time has ice in his veins, did not speak post game the other night. Apologized for it yesterday, which I don't think he really needed to. And then now we find out that it is Calvin Pickard getting start. So Stu Skinner, after the skate was over today, it was a very quick 15 minutes. Everybody was out there except for 4 guys that are dinged up or took some maintenance time, as Chris Knobloch put it. But I was going out to shoot the rink report with Dan Murphy, and I happened to notice this. Zach Dickham, we have the video, and we're going to run it right now. We'll just talk over it because it doesn't have any audio. So Zach Dickham, if you could roll the video from earlier of Sam Gagner and Stu Skinner. So this was going on earlier in the day, and Gager, you're seeing this. So what are you thinking?
This is a veteran, a guy that's been around the block, probably just having that conversation with a younger guy that's going through a tough time at the most important time of the year. And it just Sam Gagner recognizing that, and we've seen Sam how he interacts with everyone on the team. I mean, just the way that Skinner is looking at him, he's taking all that information in, and you look at the arc of Sam Gagner. He was a top 6 player in this league for a long time.
Yep.
Now more in that 4th line role. So there's a lot of knowledge there. He's forgotten more about hockey than most people will ever know playing at that level, right? So that's probably a conversation that once they leave the bench, that Stuart Skinner, maybe he was feeling here, he's probably feeling about there after that.
Wow. It was notable because everybody was in the locker room. Those conversations can happen in the players' lounge. But it was right after the practice on the bench. The Canucks were literally coming onto their bench, and we're going to hop out there for their morning skate. And there's the wily veteran talking to the young goaltender that's had a tough go. So just a neat thing to see there, and glad I was able to catch it. Good breakdown, Gager, as always. All right, let's go 780-218-9999. You can text us, and then, of course, Nasty Chat. Do I even dare look at it? I think it's probably doing okay. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, too. If you don't mind, I'll refresh that, Gager.
There's some new names. I just, this is great. Thank you, Vancouver. Thank you.
Thank you, Vancouver. Okay.
Just like and subscribe. Give us some thumbs up.
Yeah,
please.
there we go. Let's go to Coach Mike. Says the She Loves narrative by some in the media has been idiotic. He's let in 11 goals in 3 games. It's not like these have been 2-1 games. Oil are blowing the doors off this goalie tonight. LFG, says Coach Mike. Let's go to this one here from Scalding Gourd. Says, is it true Gage is wearing his self-autographed Portland Winterhawks jersey? That's a baller move. You were earlier.
Yeah.
But there's a story behind that, right?
Well,
it's kind of a neat one.
Yeah, it was my billet, Jan Vandervoort, in Portland. One of the best people on the planet. And she, at the end of my time in Portland, I signed my jersey and left it for her when I left.
Nice
right?
move, yeah.
And then, so years later, she wanted. She's made tons of stuff for me over the years. A Christmas tree skirt that's so gaudy and gorgeous. We have it out every year.
Nice.
But she sent it back and goes, you know what, Joaquin, you're probably going to want this. And she felt guilty having it. So
wow.
I, in return, gave her my Spengler Cup jersey.
That's very cool.
So, and then I thought, you know what, that might look good in my office. So I called her back. I go, hey, Jan, can we jersey swap again? And so I actually, my old buddy Mike Williamson was up. I had him hand deliver it to Jan. A Edmonton Oilers signed jersey with a bunch of guys on.
That's cool.
So she's not jerseyless. So, but yeah, it's kind of weird seeing it on there because it was my old signature. I remember doing that in the old Fred Meyers down in Portland at the autograph sign.
That's awesome.
But no, it was a pretty cool gesture for her to give me my first jersey that I felt like that was a big step for me.
And you're just supporting the factory, aka your old team down in Portland in the WHL final. Down 2 games to none against Moose Jaw, and that series has shifted to Moose Jaw. Dusty Nielsen on the call. You can catch it on TSN tonight. And then just speaking of other games on the schedule, in the NHL tonight, Boston leads Florida 2-1 in Florida right now. And that one in the third period, a minute and a half in. Of course, Florida, an opportunity to end this series. Also in the PWHL, Montreal leads Boston 2-1, and Boston leads the series 2-0. This game tonight in Montreal, I believe. Oh, no, it's in Boston. My bad. But, yeah, so playoffs underway in the PWHL, as well as the WHL, and, of course, the AHL and the NHL. So you're up to speed on all the HLs in the hockey world really quickly. Let's get a couple more texts. You got some wings. Those smell delicious. You probably want to eat them while they're still warm. Tommy Rabella says, Gager, put on the leather jacket, please.
Yeah, that was something.
That was hilarious.
I rolled in and they scored. That was good. Plug my buddy, the taco shop in West Edmonton Mall. Good fish tacos. I'll just say that. But yeah, just poke my head in, and I thought it was a must win tonight. I don't see it as a must win. You don't want to take too much magic out of the leather. There's only a finite amount of magic dust in that leather jacket. So I think the Oilers will be just fine without Gager and leather tonight.
The funniest thing though about that was, and Megan was with you too, because you guys you're at the new taco shop. And it was overtime, and you're like, hey, Tommy. And I'm like, oh, what's up, Gager? And you're like, look, and then boom, they score.
Yeah. No, it's magical. What can you say? That thing's done well. Let's just say that. It's done very well.
It is a nice jacket as well, as evidently it has magic in it. Let's go to Tommy Rabella's last one. It says, here's hoping to the Oilers playing long enough that I can make a trip to Hudsons for a pregame show this season. Only need another series. Tommy Rabella, they're still in this one, pal. It's only 2-1, and we'll see if they can bounce back tonight. Ontario Momes says, apparently the Canucks announcers and radio guys refer to 97 as McLiner. My in-law, Canucks fan, which is a super lame nickname and super unprofessional for media. Who are they? Jack Edwards, says Ontario Momes. Are they referring to him getting cross-checked in the throat?
Oh, man. Listen, I grew up in Vancouver. When Wayne and the boys would show up, they said the same thing about Wayne Gretzky, and for good reason, because obviously a kid growing up in Vancouver, the Canucks were my team, and they would they would essentially be up 6-1 or 5-1 going into the third and lose 7-6. And Gretz would have 8 points with 7 goals somehow. I don't know how he even did it, but no, it's I love it. I love the fact that we have this banter back and forth now. This is long overdue for two really good Canadian hockey teams.
Well said. The other thing too, like if our peers and colleagues in Vancouver on the air are saying that, and it's not like reading a text or something like that, not good, not a good look. You don't want to do that. But I'm not telling them how to do their job. It's just not something that we would do unless we're reading someone.
And what do you think of the I don't think the officiating's been great, but I think it's been even. I mean, there's been missed calls both ways. Yeah. I think. I don't think that. Can you really say that a penalty has affected the outcome of a game yet?
I have a hard game 2. There have been some power play goals. But they have evened them up for the most part.
But it seemed like when the other team, the soft call for the power play, there was some evening up.
Listen,
I think so.
And that's fair, Gager. And I've said this for the last few years, and Cass always likes to get on board with it. Is like the officiating's not good across the board. I mean, the other night when we were complaining about the officiating, Canucks fans dislike Kelly Sutherland the way Oilers fans can't stand Steve Kazari. Yeah. That was interesting to note. And at the same time, the Boston-Florida game, Brad Marchand's getting sucker punched as he's getting hit, not playing in this game. So there's been a lot of that. I feel like the officials in the last almost 10 years have been spooked, and they haven't shaken it yet.
Yeah, and again, I would love to go into the holodeck and actually ref a game at NHL speed and get a real sense of how hard it is to call a game, right? Like I love in the World Championships or Spengler Cup when they throw the helmet cam on the referees.
Oh, yeah.
It provides such good insight. This is another kind of F1 thing that I'd love to see is cameras in the helmets of players.
Yeah.
Because you watch a ref make a call from their eyes, you're going, oh yeah, that's a slash for sure. But then you look at it and it's someone else's stick, but it happens too quickly. They can't. So I really think that would be beneficial. I mean, the problem is we want our refs to be perfect, and
that's
no one's going to be perfect, but they are as close to perfect in any professional sport, I think, as you can get.
Gager, I think that the helmet cam in F1 is cool. I like the ref cam. International hockey still has it. I know the NHL tried it, and I thought it was really neat. But I also get frustrated by the helmet cam because I feel like I can't see the race the exact same way that the driver is.
There's certain cameras that are better than others. I love the new camera on the McLaren because it's on a gyro, so it actually gives you a feeling of the corners and how it's not all flat and up and down. So I mean, sometimes it flips that one right inside the camera, but then you get that reflection.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what
you can't really see it that well. But I love the thing, Tommy. You can't get enough. I can't get enough.
The Wolf says, I'm coming in for a solo. One quick one, boys. Save me a good seat. Lots of good seats. The Wolf. And we only have about 7 minutes left. Zach to come. I was going to hand it off to you, but I got word that puck drops a little bit later on, so I'll wrap up with Gager. This one from Safety Bob says, Oilers need to come out flying, get the lead, then find another gear and shove it right down their throats. And then Sunny D says, Gager scored on 29 brutal interference and Nurse Phantom crosscheck.
Yeah, but I know those ones, but I'm trying to think of the ones that went the other way. Look, I'm not saying it was been perfect, but
no, it hasn't.
I don't think that really the way that the Oilers played is that really the reason why. I don't think so.
All right, 780-218-9999. We're going to go inside the Oilers locker room one more time. We heard from Calvin Pickard. We heard from Chris Knobloch. Zach to come, you pick who you want to hear from next.
I'd like to hear from the guy on the back end, Darnell Nurse.
It's a
play tonight? I mean, you've got to know him over the last couple of years. What have you seen from him this season? How much faith do you have in him?
Oh, a ton of faith. I think our whole group has a ton of faith in him. Obviously, the work and compete he brings is one of the favorites in here of people, and just a genuinely good guy. So when he gets between the pipes, he's always out there competing, and he's played so well for us all year long. So we'll do what we can in front of him to play the best we can too.
So when you come off that last game with all those shots, but you don't get the win, do you focus on, well, we're pretty close, there's a couple things to clean up, or do you kind of focus on, all right, man, oh man, like we were behind the whole game, like 3-1?
Yeah, I think we got to just stick to our process. I think we had a lot of opportunities to put the puck in the back of the net. We didn't do that. And for us to clean up some of the work too, so that the chances that we give up aren't grade A's. That's keeping things to the perimeter. So that's the combination of the two. I think you look back on the game and there's a lot of good to take from it. But this time of year there's no moral victories. It's just winning and losing. But I think if we stick to the process that we have most nights, we're going to get the right result.
Every so often there's kind of this feel-good story where a guy does something pretty neat in a year, whether it's a guy like Calvin sort of resurrecting his NHL career. I mean, what about Calvin makes you guys appreciate him, and that story feel for you guys the way it does?
I think just the person he is, obviously. To play at this level, you have to be, so good just to have the opportunity to play. But it's the people and that make the game special, and he's one of those guys. He comes in every day with a great positive attitude. He's never down, no matter what the situation is, and he's always looking for a way to push us on the ice when whether it's practice or in games. He's got a good feel for the room, a good feel for each guy that's in it, and he's got a good relationship with everyone. I think that's what makes his story special. I think that's why he gravitates to so many people within our room, but not just in our room, probably every room that he's played in. And I think it makes the story even better.
With a significant decision like a goaltending change during a playoff series, what kind of a message does that send to the rest of the group?
I think obviously when you have to make a change like that, I think it speaks more to the group as a whole. Just trying to have a spark for us to maybe defend better, and Skins has been such a huge factor and such a huge reason why we're in the spot that we're in today, and why we're competing the way that we are competing. And for us, it's as a whole, as a group, we can be better for whoever's playing back there.
Darnell, you guys were down 2-1 twice last year, came and won both games, game fours last year. Can you just kind of talk about the mindset you need heading into a game like this when you are down in a series?
Yeah, you just come out and play. I think our group has been in this situation, not just last year, but in series past, and you just come out and take it one game at a time, one shift at a time. And I think that's the focus. Is not looking at the end result and focusing on the end result, but just focusing on what we can do shift to shift. And I think if we can maintain that and play at the highest level that we're capable of, we'll have a good night tonight.
All right, that was Darnell Nurse. Didn't seem too put off by going down 2-1 in the series. That's just my take on it, but he is pretty calm, cool, collected himself. Gager, we have a couple more minutes here. I'll read a couple texts, but first, just your assessment of what you heard from the Oilers side today and their availability.
I think they feel good about themselves because essentially the Vancouver Canucks, although they've played well, at times the Edmonton Oilers have beat themselves. They haven't played Edmonton Oilers hockey yet to a man. So that's what I would be telling myself. And I think that's what I get from Darnell, alluding to past playoff performances. I mean, that's why last year hurt so much, is because they felt like they left a lot on the table.
Absolutely.
This is okay, guys, enough's enough. If we're gonna leave everything out there, if we're gonna lose, we gave it everything.
Right.
And it's something that the Vancouver Canucks did that was extraordinary to beat us, but we are not going to beat ourselves.
And you're right. I said, the Oilers have been their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
I saw a few texts coming in and nasty chats saying, I'm sick of that rhetoric that they're beating themselves. I'm sorry, but they have.
Yeah.
They really, and kudos to the Canucks for taking advantage, but the Oilers have not been the same. Typical Edmonton Oilers, like you mentioned. It is going to be 12-6. Zach DeCum, thank you for the update. Do you want to provide that for us? You saw the tweet?
Yeah, as per Tony Barrar here, He's saying that it'll be 11-6. 12-6. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman, Kane, Draisaitl, Holloway, Fogle, McLeod, Perry, Janmark, Ryan, Brown for the forward group. And then back on defense, Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Desharnais, Kulak, CC to start.
So there you go. Zach Tecum, good update, my friend. Good catch. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Anything there that strikes you? McDavid with Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman, like Zach said. Draisaitl with Kane and Holloway. McLeod with Fogle and Perry. Ryan with Janmark and Brown. Defense stays the same. Gage, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I like that they split up the big two. They've had success with that Nuge, McDavid, Hyman. Holloway, Draisaitl, Kane. That's interesting to me. That line has to assert its physicality and solid defensive play. Use Holloway's speed. I like that maybe Draisaitl can play with, two guys that are going to crash bang, get that puck, get to him, and hopefully this is just a lunch bucket line with a boatload of skill, and Holloway can add to his kind of playoff success so far.
Let's see if that happens. There you go. The Oilers have split up McDavid and Draisaitl. McDavid between Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl with Kane and Holloway. McLeod between Fogle and Perry. Ryan with Janmark and Brown. No Carrick. Are you surprised by that?
A little, but I understand it. I'm okay with it. Let's see what Brown can do. But I'm being positive here, guys.
He's being very positive. He's also hungry, so we're going to wrap it up with Cal in the Parks text. Cal says, hey, guys, great show tonight. Cal's right here with us at Hudsons, Whyte Avenue. Says, quick Association City update. Knicks are up 15 at the half. Cal in the Park, good stuff. Association City, Dusty would be proud. 2-2, Montreal and Boston in the PWHL. 3 minutes left there. Florida trails Boston in the NHL. 10 minutes remaining in the third period. And if you want to catch Dusty, he will be calling the Winterhawks Moose Jaw Warriors game number 3 in the WHL final on TSN. Gager, great stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
You'll be back on the post-game show. You can go eat your wings.
Thanks,
crush
man.
that delicious beer. Come down to Hudson's Whyte. I'll be back for the post-game show with Gager. And they have Birdie Booze here. You can get your shots. And then they also have 6 o'clock or lager. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream pregame show brought to you by GCL Diesel. Big thank you to Irf Gaffar and everybody who listened and watched us tonight. For Joaquin Gage and Zach Tecum, I'm Tom Gazzola saying enjoy Game 4. We'll see you after the game. Bye-bye.